Hey everybody, Alex Miller at Capnion here. You may have heard before about this technology web3, and particularly you might have heard some negative buzz about it coming from some famous people in the past week, notably Elon Musk, saying that it was a quote unquote marketing buzzword without a lot of real substance. And then Jack Dorsey of Twitter made a very controversial remark about how it is too much beholden to the venture capital world, and this negates some of its promise. So I would like to answer the question, what is Web3, as best I can, and then talk about what are these complaints that people have about it. So it's worth noting that the internet has evolved quite a bit over the years, sometimes according to people's plans and dreams, forward looking about it. And Web3 is a particular idea out there about the future more than an extent technology. What's supposed to be different about Web3 is that it's decentralized. What does this mean? So anytime you go visit a website, you essentially visit some centralized server that gives you the data of that website. And people don't like that these servers are owned and controlled by various kinds of companies that have their particular agendas. So this is actually a very intersectional topic I've talked about before. People don't like that there is somebody that actually controls every little bit of the internet. The hope of Web3 is that it would be decentralized. What that means in this context is that the data of any given website you would like to visit is actually held in little pieces by lots of different actors that maybe can't even really interpret those pieces. And when you go visit that website, you go somewhere and you get different pieces from a lot of different people and you assemble that website. So you can see the websites you want to visit, put up the websites you want to visit. No single actor controls those websites and can take them away from you. It's worth noting that this technology is more or less built on a blockchain. It's very much of the blockchain cryptocurrency world. You could say that a blockchain is really Web3 of managing a spreadsheet over the internet, and then cryptocurrency is just, you take one of these spreadsheets and you enter into it how much money everybody has. Web3 also hugely overlaps with the kind of smart contract world. The idea is you're leveraging this blockchain technology to do kind of more sophisticated computations like you would on a computer and then replace more than just a spreadsheet. So that sounds great. What are the complaints? So I'll start with Elon Musk's complaint that this just isn't a real technology, and there's substance to this. There isn't really a whole lot of Web3 out there you're going to interact with day to day. I did my best to give a sensible account of what Web3 is, but when you start researching this, there's a kind of lot of hype, and then people have some different prototypes, but it's not something people are really doing. So it's not like Web3 is this thing that's built and people are using. It's sort of a kind of dream about the future with a lot of hope attached to it. Once again, I would also note here that, and I'll hit this again and again, the crypto world, which is, very much heralded, but not something that's kind of all the way put together and ready for prime time, is essentially just doing Web3 of managing a spreadsheet. And managing a spreadsheet is a pretty basic operation. Okay, so what is Jack Dorsey's complaint? And this overlaps. It's, as a preface to all this Web3 stuff, the prototypes out there are not really being used widely because they're extremely slow. So you may have seen a quote around, this is from Nicholas Weaver of Berkeley ICSI. The Ethereum world computer has roughly 1 in 5,000 of the compute power of a Raspberry Pi 4. So that's kind of a bomb. The Ethereum world computer is a kind of strain of Web3, or you could say maybe a supporting technology of Web3. I don't know if it's that severe, but any technology I've heard about in this vein that anybody has really actually tried is extremely slow. And once again, hitting on blockchain as just managing a spreadsheet of web3, there's huge conversation about how blockchain is really too slow for a lot of finance applications, and people endlessly going back and forth about different ways to make it faster, competing with one another. So to just recap, this thing's prohibitively slow. People aren't really using it yet for anything more than cryptocurrency stuff because it's extremely slow. And in particular, no running business in the world that's not doing a very explicitly cryptocurrency kind of thing isn't in this technology. So where does Jack Dorsey's complaint about venture capital come from? There is tremendous buzz about this technology, and there's a lot of companies that believe it's the future are working on it in some capacity. But then at the end of the day, it's important to note, because this is a new technology, you need pretty specific, specialized expertise to work with it, and that's not cheap one way or another. Everybody that's working on it now is really one way or another getting paid in investment money, a lot of which comes from the venture finance world. Just because there isn't really a clear lane yet to make a kind of grandpa's guitars basic positive cash flow business about it. And so the Jack Dorsey complaint, he makes a remark about it's not going to outrun the incentives of these venture capitalists that are currently funding it. You know, if the whole world at the end of the day of Web3 actually orbits around venture capital money, when and how does that situation stop? What is the smooth road to this technology? Kind of because of, upfront costs of getting involved and concentration and control of talent. What is the smooth road from this being something that really, really depends on venture capital money to something that really lives out this promise of being this kind of free thing out there that nobody controls? Unfortunately, there's not a good answer to that question. So there is a lot about this technology that's really exciting. And in particular, it addresses a lot of these questions we have about who owns the internet. But the complaints from these two famous people both have a lot of validity in them, and this isn't really an operating technology right now. And there's a lot you can see that's problematic about any realistic journey it's going to have to being a kind of commonplace operating technology.